Hey everyone, welcome to the Big Fitness Show. This is episode number 3, Home Gym versus Garage Gym. I'm your host, Big Stevie Cole. I hate even saying that. I wish that sounds so bad to say. Like Big Stevie Cole is the third person, but we call it the Big Fitness Show because I've been known as Big Stevie Cole. And joining me, as he does every single week, is Big Mike Behrens. You're feeling a little bit better now, huh, man?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am. I
Stop with the
finally
sir. You got to
kicked.
stop with the sir. You got to stop right now, please. And I'm not draw. We talked about it off air.
Yeah, man. Yeah, brother. I'm feeling a little bit better, but I still got a little bit in my throat. So I'm excited to talk today. Welcome everybody. Yeah, I'm Big Mike Behrens. I don't mind saying it. I'll say Big Mike. People get to know me that way. It's all about branding, dude. So we can run with it. The Big
What
Fitness
is it?
Show.
You know what? There's probably going to be a question from people out there. What are your specs, or as we say in the tech world, dimensions? What are your how much you weigh, all that stuff? I've done way too many fitness reviews that have to do with dimensions and everything. But
Sure.
what are your stats?
My stats are legitimately, I am 6'5" tall, and I weigh right now between 275 and 280. So I am literally big Mike Behrens for sure. And people have called me that for years.
Well, here's an interesting fact. I used to be 6'3 1/4, and now that I'm
Okay.
51, I'm 6'2. And yes, I weigh 215 pounds, which makes parts of me big that I don't want to be big. So so when you compare, that's why you are truly Big Mike Behrens, and I try to avoid the moniker. But branding is important. That's why we call it the Big Fitness Show. And
Mhm.
this week, I jinxed myself when I called episode 3 Home Gym versus Garage Gym, because this week for garage gym owners, at least if I know you're going to get on me about it, but it's been very cold here in Florida.
Mhm. Yeah.
You live in the Midwest, so you're like already kind of smirking at me about it. You're watching this, and we've had quite a week of ups and downs with temperature, and then certain things maintenance wise with the garage gym. So I'm very interested to share with the audience and share with each other our backgrounds and what we had previous to our current gym setups, and this could hopefully help a lot of people. Space is always limited for everybody that I know out there, budget, and also just the environment and the little things I think people don't think about, especially I live in an apartment now, but I used to live in an apartment that was not quite as accessible as this
Mhm.
one is. So there's a lot of things people need to consider about delivery and what people do and don't do, and we can get into it. So um,
Sure.
it's definitely an interesting thing. It sounds like it might be the same thing, but I know you and I
Mhm.
say they're two totally different types of workflows and things you need to do when you have a home and or a garage gym.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of those things where you got to figure out what's going to work best in your space. The home gym, I can't say that I've technically ever had a home gym, but it was kind of a home gym uh slash garage gym, like so I kind of bled the lines there of what it was in my old house. But yeah, there's definitely a difference in the two and what you do, what you can do, what you can't do, what you have space for and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to talk about it and hear how your week was and why you jinxed yourself. I'm curious.
I did it's a first world problem. It's not it's not like a big struggle like most people are going through today. So I know I have perspective. But how do you want to handle this, by the way? Do you want to do like maybe the pros and cons of one and start out with that, or home or garage gym, and then we can maybe home gym would be better because you kind of had one. I had one where we turned the entire apartment into a home gym, and now we both have dedicated garage gym spaces, and our
Mhm.
living quarters are separate. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I,
That's what we had.
I think pros and cons of the home gym, and specifically if you're talking about, obviously we're going to go into maybe subcategories because there's apartments and condos. There's being on certain floors of these apartments and condos where you're going to have to think about a lot of stuff and limit yourself if you're not on something like, say, the ground floor where there's concrete underneath where you live, like we did. We moved to
Sure.
the ground floor. So, yeah, let's start with the pros and the cons of the home gym environment and what you can expect if that's what you want to do. And I guess to start it off, Mike, Big Mike, sorry, 6'5". Uh, medium size, medium Stevie Cool. That's what I'll call myself.
There you go.
So I think the classic home gym, unless you have an awesome wife like mine that wants to turn the entire apartment into home gym and just go big or go home, is usually going to be a room like I'm in right now, or maybe you're in, where it's the spare bedroom, the guest bedroom, or something that is considered to be an unused bedroom is usually the first thing people will turn into that gym space. At least that's what I've seen.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I mean, having an extra spare bedroom or where you can put a treadmill and things like that. That's definitely the case for most people. With with mine, I turned. See, this is why I say like it was kind of a technically both, because it was a garage, but I turned the garage into a living space. So I sealed it completely up. So it was technically an extra room in the house. And then I made the gym part of that. Right. So it was just the extra room in the house. And I think that's what's the default for everybody is, oh, well, we got this little extra space here, or we got this corner over here that we can uh section off for our little home gym area.
Yeah. And there is definitely products out there like, and I know we're going to do old school versus new school. There's going to be a lot of different categories that we kind of do comparisons and hopefully help people make a decision what they're going to do. Like we have a Tempo studio out there that's in the corner of the living room, dining room area. That could technically be your whole gym right there. The
Sure.
plates are inside, the barbell and the dumbbell handles are behind it. It's very cool technology, very cool footprint. And you need only like a 6x6 area for the 3D camera to work. So it can
Sure.
correct your form and track your reps. So that could be your home gym. So we're not saying like, but the more standard, I guess, way people go is converting the whole thing and trying to add as many pieces to fill the space. So, but you had a garage that you finished off. This is interesting, and this is like, I guess we're not accountants, but there is a tax thing with when you finish off an area and then you make it climate controlled, you get reassessed on taxes, and your
Sure.
taxes could go up on property if you finish that room. Did you finish it and have it climate controlled?
Well, yeah, technically speaking, I did, but it wasn't permanent. So it didn't have to get reassessed or anything
I
like
was
that
going to
because it
remind you
wasn't
that they're
permanent.
hiring 87,000 IRS agents. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's, like that, it was my old house. So it doesn't matter anymore. It's not in my new house. But yeah, it wasn't a permanent thing. It was just, I just kind of closed up the garage, and put like a fake wall in front of the garage door. So it looked like it was permanent. It was actually this wood for people watching. This wood right here is just paneling that's on the over the drywall. And I took that exact same piece of paneling and put it over the garage door. And so the room looked semi-finished, but it was still basically a garage. It just had this fake wall in front of it that you could take down in no time in case of emergency or anything like that. So it wasn't a finished room, but I had a space heater in there, so it was climate controlled and I could keep it at 65, 70 degrees, whatever I needed it to be in the wintertime. I didn't have air conditioning in there though, so in the summer it was hot.
I like that though. I like it that, being 100 degrees or whatever. That's
Sure.
also another thing that people need to consider when we're going to talk about the home gym, maybe in the cons category for sure. What we did was we had the second bedroom. We have a 2 bedroom, 1 bath apartment in Georgia. And I was trying to expand in the home gym business because it was the next logical thing from the band programs, and obviously
Mhm.
I always dreamt of having my own home gym. And you know what, from a content creation standpoint, it was hard. I don't know if you've ever done this, but I used to have a Planet Fitness membership, and then we had an apartment complex gym, and I would go and try and film and do
Mhm.
demos for the band program and other things, and try to do the things that we're doing now, like sharing things on social media or doing YouTube reviews. And dude, when you're trying to do that, if you pull a camera out, even a phone, and you put it on a tripod or you do anything, it almost stops the gym. And there's always going to be somebody that's complaining. And even if there's not, you're so distracted for it to happen. You're anticipating. So you're kind of trying to rush through what you're doing, and it's not organic and it ends up kind of sucking. So my wife had said, well, we should have a home gym then, that would be
Mhm.
great. And then you can make all the videos you want for the band program while you're doing gym equipment. So I started reaching out to companies, and then Force USA was one of the first ones because they had a modular power rack that had like 100 different configurations. I'm like, that's so cool. So I can make like 10, 15, 20 videos off that. So that was the first piece in the second bedroom. Then they offered an all-in-one trainer, which is the one with the Smith machine, power rack, and the weight stacks, but it wouldn't fit in there. And with when we had our apartment gym, and I'll get to the cons of that when we get to it, because there's a lot of cons when you're living in a
Sure.
condensed thing. You're in a single family, but if you have people around you, there's considerations. So when that started to grow, my wife said, because I go, I'll get rid of this, I'll bring the other one in. She goes, no, no, keep that. We're going to convert the entire living room, sunroom, part of the dining room into the home gym. And then this second bedroom will turn into the living room, which turned out to look really nice. We liked it. It was nice and cozy. But, if my wife never did that, my business would not be where it's at today. So we benefited
Sure.
for the most, but people aren't going to do that. So the second bedroom thing is usually what people do, but there are space considerations. There's also the doorway for certain pieces of equipment, even if they're unassembled. And then I'll get right to the cons first. The biggest con for me is I sweat like a pig. So you said you like,
Ah,
talking about heat and stuff, but when you
sure.
sweat, at least in my home gym, when we sweat like that, and even though having rubber mats, which by the way was over a rug, so it looked like crap there too. And you just when you sweat that much or you have that gym atmosphere and it's in a living space that's connected to everything else you live in,
Hmm.
it tends to like the maintenance can be very, very um frustrating because it never fully gets clean in that area. Does that make sense
Sure.
to you?
Oh yeah, it makes total sense. I mean, if you're sweating like crazy, there's gonna be a stench to it that's gonna just have a certain smell, and the rubber mats that are there and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So the home gym piece of it. I mean, your home gym at your old place was awesome. Like to have that in a home, super freaking cool. But yeah, I can imagine that there's definitely some maintenance that comes with it of uh the keeping it clean if you're sweating like crazy, and just making sure that you're staying on top of that would be a definite con with having that in the home, for
Yeah.
sure.
I think that's a con all around if you're going to own your own gym, whether it's a home, a garage, wherever it's at. When you have
Mm,
gym equipment, you don't think you might wipe the one bench you have down at Planet Fitness or kind of just wipe as you go, but there's so much more maintenance. Dust just attaches itself to all nooks and crannies on the equipment. You're never going to be able to get it all, but you have to stay on top of it. And it's almost like you have to be your own, obviously, gym owner, but also your own janitor at the same time to
hmm.
schedule cleaning or sometimes do daily cleaning immediately after a workout. Like in my case, I'm gonna have to steam clean. I'm gonna have to wipe it down because I'm sweating. It's literally going all over the place. And I have to make sure that everything is clean because it's just, it's gonna smell like the gym and Rocky after a
Right.
while, which it
Right.
did anyway.
I
It
don't
anyway.
think there's any way around it. Gyms, sure, they just have a certain stench to them, but it's the maintenance is definitely a big con in the idea of having a home gym. I mean, there's a lot of trade-offs to that, but I guess if you just get in a routine of cleaning your home, and when you clean your home, you clean your gym too, or just do a deep clean once in a while, or when you're purchasing the home gym equipment, purchase the home gym cleaning stuff too, so that it makes it easy. Kind of like the gym, when you go to a Planet Fitness or something like that, they have the little spray bottle and the paper towels, wipe it down. You can navigate the cleaning that way. So it doesn't have to be so bad, but it's definitely a huge con for me, because I don't love cleaning in the gym for sure.
There's a diffuser. We used to, when we traveled, my wife and I, we would stay at a Hilton because they had an excellent gym usually. And that's the most important thing. The bed doesn't matter, none of that stuff.
Right.
You'd have a good gym at the hotel, but it saved us from having to drive and find one and do all that stuff. Their rooms in the entire lobby smelled great. So my wife had asked the manager when we were checking out one time, like, what is that? And then obviously it's a super expensive thing that goes through the HVAC in every room, but it's based on something, or there's a generic version called Volcano. And we have it in here in the apartment, but it will, make it smell like a high-end hotel, which is super cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it even penetrates my sweat. So it's a good, it's a good
Yeah.
diffuser. But that might be something that, like, even in the garage gym, we might put one of those Volcano things in both of them to just keep it from smelling
Ah,
like a garage that's been worked on.
yeah, that's good. That's good. All right. So what are some of the other cons that you find in a home gym space? Because I mean,
Well,
you've got way more experience with the home gym piece of this. So what were some of the other, I have one that I can share, but what are some of the other cons that you've found in the home gym space?
well, I think this all depends on where you live and where you're situated. Say in an let's just talk about apartment complexes and condos. And for people that might not even remember, like, of course, you're not going to like lug a Force USA G15 or an Inspire FT2 with the weight stacks up 15 floors to the condo. But some people might think that's possible. But I would never take the chance on anything that doesn't have concrete underneath it in an apartment, in a condo, even a townhome, or any home for that matter. I would not put anything up on the second floor and trust the subfloor to handle
Sure.
992 or 1,000 pound all-in-one trainer, plates on top of it, you lifting, you walking around. Maybe you put a treadmill in there. It's another 300 pounds, all these different things. So, before you even figure out if you can get it into the place, you have to have a structural engineer check the floors, especially
Sure.
if you're putting it up on the second floor. That's a big deal, and it's almost like goes without saying, but some people trust the structural integrity of their home or their apartment a little bit too much. And if you
Yeah.
step in an apartment floor like our old one, you hear the creak. Like we thought we were going to go through before we even put like anything in there.
Sure.
We had to actually moved. We locked out because when it came time to expand and actually do gym equipment, we had the unit right below us uh vacate. So we did a transfer fee and all that stuff and
Mm,
all our stuff downstairs into the ground floor, which had concrete
nice.
under the rug. So it wasn't the greatest for my knees walking around, but when we worked out, we didn't have to worry about visiting our neighbors downstairs. The
Sure.
other the other huge con, getting back to the beginning, talking about access, we were kind of situated and isolated where you would really have to know our unit was there to find us, which was great. I like the privacy, but every company that ever delivered would deliver up on the sidewalk because most companies, some will
Mm,
uh, bring the pallet into your garage if it's like right there and they're backing it up. But
sure.
most won't even do that. If they'll bring it to the driveway. I don't know if you've experienced this. They bring it to the driveway or the curbside. They just leave it.
Yeah.
Then you have to open up, like, say, a coffin box and transport each piece
Sure.
back and forth. Here's a funny wrestling story I try to tell one a show. I had worked WrestleCon in New Orleans. I think it was 2017 or something like that. And Billy Gunn threw me out of the ring through the middle rope. It wasn't his fault, just one of those weird things where I couldn't grab the rope as I was going out. And I
Mm,
literally landed on my right hip and lower back on the floor. I went
ooh.
through and then just dropped. You saw me
Yeah.
disappear. And that's why I have this back injury that's so, like, inflamed all the time. Uh, when I flew home and I landed in Atlanta, I got the call from the freight company saying they were an hour away and they were going to deliver. I was like, oh God. So
Damn it, Billy.
yeah. So they dropped the Force USA G6, which weighs 1,000 pounds,
Sure.
has 257-pound weight stacks on each one, and of course the cross beams, all that stuff, in a coffin box. I have 5 uneven steps from the curb to go down. I have a courtyard to go across. I make a right. I have 7 more uneven, like short ones, then a long one, then a landing, like so
Uh,
uneven. And they were dropping off 22 gym floor tiles that I ordered. So I got home. I was like, all right, I'm gonna lay down for a few minutes because the truck's gonna be here.
Yeah.
Beep, beep, beep before I even put my rolling bag down. I'm like, oh God. I
Uh,
said, here we go. I took my weight belt and I tightened it as much as I could. So I couldn't really breathe. And I just slapped that on, and dude, my face was turning purple after a few tries. I had to loosen it. It was 80 trips to get it into the main living area before we even started assembling. 80 trips, 61, 60, 60 actually. I'm sorry, 82 trips, 60 trips for the thing because the coffin box, he wouldn't
sure.
bring it to the door. So we had to open up the coffin box and take each piece out of the coffin box and bring it over there. And then the floor tiles, which are like, no, they're not bad, dude. Those floor tiles weighed about 20, maybe 25 pounds a piece, and they're flapping all over. I got it over my head. I got the little rubber things. Like it's like I'm bleeding oil. So that was like in every piece that got delivered. And of course, when we go in the door, we have it's good here because it's straight on and the
Sure.
doors are wider here. When we go straight through, there's a wall with the laundry room, like right there. You got to turn
Mhm.
immediately left. So all these cross beams, we're trying to do all
Mm,
yeah, we're trying to do all these little contortion things with the thing to get it in. But this is something with living in an apartment, especially, being grateful for being on ground floor or street level or whatever, but there's still going to be some kind of clunkiness to getting that equipment in there. And then when you go to move out, you got to do it all over again. So
right.
that's why I just donated it to my friends that had it and they want to come pick it up. We'll take it apart. You take it out to the truck and get it out of here because I'm not holding on to it. But
Yeah.
that was a big deal. And then, that's really a big deal when you have a home gym in the home, uh, that you're going to have to think about access points, how to get it in and out, assembling it. And then, of course, when you move, getting it all taken apart and then trying to get it back out the door. Because
Yeah.
are you really going to be, it's a little thing, Mike, but people don't realize, like, you're like, okay, well, I'll just break it down, but I'll keep most of it together on the beams and the
Right.
crossbars and everything. And just, no. If you have what we had, you're breaking that thing down to like square one, which
Sure.
sucks. So
Sure.
that would be the biggest con with having an apartment or a condo gym. So not so
Yeah.
much a home gym, but it was very clunky. But of course, it launched my business, my affiliate business,
Sure.
all that stuff. So it was absolutely worth it. Um, and that was everything, cardio wise, strength wise, all that stuff. It was just really a pain in the butt to be able to get that stuff into there. And I would do that on my review videos. So when people watch the review videos that are from that apartment gym, I B-roll, like, I'll find a clip and send it to you because you're like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
those none of the steps are symmetrical at all. They're all
Sure.
different drops, different height, different length between them. It was quite the maze to go through, especially with a broken back.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. And I know a little bit about what you're talking about when it comes because even if you don't have the steps to finagle with, like it's the equipment that you're buying. If like you had a new piece of equipment that all came in pieces that you had to put together, but a lot of times people will go pick up a used piece of equipment or they'll go find something that's already assembled and you don't know. Number one, you don't have the instructions to then reassemble it, so you don't know how to take it apart. You don't know where to start when it comes to taking apart what can come apart, what can't come apart. So then you try to get it in the house in one piece. I can remember uh my wife wanted an elliptical. This is a few years ago, and she wanted an elliptical. I hate ellipticals because I'm just being a big guy, like how it is. Like I just yeah, the ellipticals never felt like they fit me, right? And I've never had a big professional elliptical. It's always been the cheaper models that are made for an average size person. So I just have always hated them. Um, but she wanted one, and we found one on uh Facebook Marketplace or something like that, and picked it up and I brought it home and getting it in the house was such a pain because in most places, like we lived in a duplex. So it was one floor duplex and We didn't have anybody above, there was nobody above us or anything like that. We had a neighbor, so the house was split. And coming in the front door was no problem because the front door of most houses are usually wider than interior doors. And that's something most people don't even realize, is that you can get it in the front door, but can you get it in the door that you need to get it into to get it in the room you want? Or can you then, the biggest problem for me was making the corner to get it into the space and having to get it around the corner with all the things there. And then the garage that I turned into kind of a pseudo living area had just a little bit of a step down. Not that big a deal, but when you're trying to bring it down, there was just a little bit of a step, it with an elliptical, and it's obnoxious and it doesn't really fit in the door. Anyway, so like that to me, that's a huge con, is just trying to navigate the space that you have, because you don't even think about it. Like you just, especially with used pieces of equipment, and then trying to get it out, moving it around, they're limited on the space because of it. And it's, yeah, that I totally understand. Not nearly as bad as what you had to go through with your broken back, but dude, yes, that is a huge, huge issue when it comes to having a home gym space, and something that everybody should consider when looking at that equipment. Like, make sure you get measurements. If you're buying a used piece of equipment, make sure you measure the width of it so that it'll fit through the door into the space that you want. Make sure that you're measuring the length and that it's going to be able to hold it, and you'll have the space for it and what it's actually going to look like in the space. Because as much as you think it'll fit in that area, just wait till you get it in the area, and then you'll see if it actually
last
fits.
Words. But I can see why, like, when we were talking about the episode and doing this, and I was like looking back at that and then seeing what it looked like and what kind of like trying to relive everything but the broken back. I was trying to relive everything I could. I was like, this is why Tempo, Nordic Track Vault, the Tonal, these are perfect products if you don't want the guesswork of getting it through the door, of setting it up, very minimal assembly at all. The Tempo doesn't even need to be really assembled. It's just that easel type thing. Yeah, there's something to it, but that's why the market exists. So if you're listening or watching and you have an apartment that you're not sure about the access or anything like that, or it's just very small, or you're in a high-rise condo, especially a high-rise condo, it's going to have to be the Tempo, the Tonal, or Nordic Track Vault. Sure. And I would even err to say probably the Tempo, because you're still adding weight, moving weight, touching the floor with weight if you don't have the Tonal cable system. So, I'm not a big proponent. Like I said, we're going to have an episode on pros and cons of old school versus new school, but in that case, it's definitely the lesser of two evils. And if I didn't have a fitness business where I'm reviewing stuff, I think that Tempo would be enough for me if I didn't ever want to go to gym again. It's free weights, it's follow along, form correction, AI type stuff, and total volume, lots of like geeky stat stuff. I have to get you on the FaceTime one time, or we'll do an episode where I'm taking you through it and B-roll. It's just a fascinating piece of equipment. I mean, it's cool. It's not cheap, but that's what I would say. And just repeating what I said before, any space that you have. So when we had the apartment and we were able to go to the ground floor and we were able to get equipment, and that whole thing about I turned my entire apartment into a home gym became not so much viral, but people thought that was such a novelty. Like, this is a dude that, how did his wife let him do that? And this, and that was the biggest question of all. And I'm like, dude, it was her idea. It was, I thought it. I don't want to take over your entire apartment. She goes, no, we're going to make this work and go all the way with it. Oh, side note, by the way, I think I told you, my wife is actually starting her own fitness content.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
She is. And awesome. Her thing is, like, I looked at my demographics on the YouTube channel, like 83% male, 17% female. And I told her, you have a market for that. So even if you're going to do the same equipment reviews that I'm doing, but you do them yourself, or if we do them together on some stuff, you can definitely appeal to female audience with that. And she's plant-based, so it's a completely different thing than doing and everything. So it's we're going to do whatever we can to help her. Retreat. Maybe
That's awesome.
her and your wife and me and you can do the Valentine's Day episode. We can get them on here.
I love that. That would be great. I think my wife would totally be down for that. That would be awesome.
My wife's pretty shy, but I said, well, if you want a YouTube channel, you're going to have to be like in front of the camera. So, but
Let's come on your show a little bit.
She's getting better, and she's an inspiration to me. She, I want to support her every bit as much as she supported me with that. So we'll
awesome.
plug her channel and upcoming things when she allows it. She's not allowing me to do that right now. That's about it. I mean, that's probably the biggest cons I would say for home.
Well, I got one more.
Ahead,
maybe not. This isn't a con for everybody, but for me, this is a huge, huge issue for a home gym. Ceiling height.
Oh.
When you're 6'5" and you try to do an overhead press, you can't go anywhere with the bar, or you can't go anywhere with the dumbbells because the dumbbells are hitting the ceiling. So now for most people might not be an issue, but if you're 6 foot tall or greater, like think about the ceiling height in the home gym, and some definitely in a basement. If you try to put your home gym in your basement, most basements, if you're in an older home, are 8 foot or less because they have ductwork or drop ceilings or all that kind of stuff in a basement, if it's even finished. And so you have to consider that. I've been in some homes where someone had a full system like you had. It wasn't a Force USA squat rack or anything like that, but they had a squat rack, and there was literally no room at the top for any breathing space at all. And I'm just like, man, this guy's got to be 5 foot tall because there's no way he can do anything down here. But maybe he just doesn't do overhead presses and things. So if you're somebody in a home gym that likes to do overhead presses, if you do any type of Olympic movements with cleans and jerks and snatches and things like that, home gyms, granted, the floor is probably a big reason why you can't do that too, but also the ceiling height is a huge thing. When I was at my old house, I constantly, the ceiling I was in the garage, but it was a smaller home. So the ceiling was 8 foot 3 inches high. The typical home is 8 foot high. So I had an extra 3 inches to play, but you knew exactly where I stood when I did shoulder presses, because I would do strict military shoulder presses, and there was divots in the ceiling every time the plates hit the ceiling. So that's a huge con too.
Was it a popcorn ceiling or a regular ceiling?
Just a regular flat. I mean, it wasn't finished. It was just a flat drywall ceiling, and I definitely made my divots in the ceiling multiple times from it.
That's an excellent point. That's one I forgot to mention, because we did have very not low ceiling for apartments. It's higher than most, but it was absolutely lower than what we have here in the garage and in the garage. That limited, and that's something, excellent point. I totally forgot about it. That will limit the all-in-one trainers or squat racks or any equipment that you have in any gym. You got to look at the ceiling height. You got to look at that probably first before anything. If it clears all the other boxes that you want to check off, like access, getting it in there, assembling it. But yeah, we can only have maybe 20% of the all-in-one trainers the Force USA offered, and then Inspire Fitness, even PRX Performance. By the way, but I did the same thing. The reason why I asked is because you knew with me, because we had popcorn ceiling. So when I overhead pressed, it literally would divot in between, and it looked like a runway, like a highway going, because I wouldn't stand in the same spot all the time. So it was kind of funny. But the oh shit, I forgot what I was going to say. It's like anything though, any ceiling, you have to make sure, because it limited. Also in our apartment, this is another thing, and people might think that's crazy. Dude, we had no studs.
Oh, really?
We had the metal in the corners and stuff. We used a stud finder because PRX Performance wanted to send one of the racks, the space saving racks, fall out from the wall, but you have to lag them into the studs.
Right.
And we had no studs. I tried to hook up like a fancy resistance band door anchor or a wall anchor in order to do some of the demos, like a 3 thing, high, medium, low. And it just got pulled right out. And someone told us, there's really no studs. We used the metal like corner ones or something. It was so, dude, apartments that were built in the 80s are like, I'm surprised any of them are still
Wow.
standing. But that's,
Wow.
we bought a stud finder. We bought like a cheap stud finder. Then we bought a super expensive one because I was like, I got to buy an industrial one and see, like, of course you can return them. I was trying to do it in every room and it was like, nothing, nothing, nothing. Get the car, beep, 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 like metal. And I was like, oh,
Really?
I was like, there's really no studs in here. I
Huh.
think it'd be crazy, but we never found one. So you might be
Wow.
in a situation where you may have studs every, what do they say? Like usually 16,
16 inches. Yeah.
but some people have every 24. I don't know if that's a garage thing. It's tricky, but
Yeah.
that's something to think about if you're going to lag bolt or bolt into the floor. You never want to bolt if you have an apartment. You're not going to bolt a rack into the floor.
Sure.
You're not going to get your deposit back. Just put it
Yeah.
that way. You might be brought up on criminal charges too for
Yeah.
vandalism.
That's funny.
But yeah, but that's excellent. The ceiling is something I forgot about. Um, the
Yeah. It
pros
makes
are,
pull-ups really hard too with the
I
low
think I have
ceiling
a
like that.
video on the YouTube channel where I do the pull up, but somebody's like, you don't do a full pull chin up over the bar. And I was like, yeah, because if I do, and I
I
literally
can't.
showed how my head hit the ceiling, got another concussion off that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I proved my point. So, I mean, I think the pros are pretty much you have a gym in your home, you walk
Mhm.
20 seconds from your bedroom into the room and you're ready to go. There's technically no excuses ever. And if you have
Right.
an attached garage, obviously we'll get to the garage gym, but you literally have no excuse. Your gym is literally like right in the middle of something that you can easily get to.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, that's definitely a huge pro. The convenience of it. And that's why I like it. I'm not somebody who likes to work out with people. I'll do it, but it's not my go-to. I prefer to work out by myself. I don't know what it is. I just like to work out by myself, struggle by myself, go push myself, all that kind of stuff. And so having a home gym was always a thing. Like when we were looking at our new house, it was I told my wife, I said, we got to have a place for me to have a gym. I don't care what else we do. Like that was one of my like non-negotiables for the house was I need to have a place and a home gym, garage gym, whatever it is. That is a huge pro in my mind that it's just right there. It's convenient. You can do it. You don't have to worry and specifically uh for people who maybe struggle with the self-confidence and getting out in a gym or intimidated by that, like Planet Fitness's thing is we don't want to intimidate people. If you're intimidated by going to just a regular gym or a CrossFit gym or something like that, you can start in your home, and the home gym opens up so much opportunity for literally everyone, whether you're looking to lose weight or just tone up or whatever, to have the confidence to just do it at home. There's plenty of resources out there for people, and the home gym just makes that all possible for everybody. So I love home gym ideas for everybody.
Yeah, that's a great point. I also the gym fees are going up, so like
Mhm.
the family aspect of having yourself and your wife, myself and my wife, and then when your kids get older, they get
Mhm.
to use it. Now you don't have to spend. Now it's $30 a month for the black
Mhm.
card at Planet Fitness. I can't imagine what like 24-hour fitness or any of these other kind of chains had to raise their prices due to inflation. So if you have even two people going, that's $60 a month for the
Sure.
black card for to work out in any Planet Fitness. So that's 720 for the year. Well, now you're at the price of a power rack. So it's going to pay for itself even quicker. And
Right.
there's actually a gym calculator, a home gym or garage gym calculator on the PRX Performance website
Mm.
that shows you like how many miles do you drive, how much gas is
Oh
burning
yeah.
out. It's a cool little calculator. It shows you how many like years you would have to own a PRX Performance. Obviously, it's for their rack, but for any home gym, how many months or years you would have to own it for it to pay for itself. So it gives you a
Right.
nice visual representation of like, oh, that's cool. And you might think, well, God, it's going to take 2 years to pay off. Well, how long do you plan on working out?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, I only plan on working out for 18 months. This is bullshit. I get ripped off.
Yeah.
It's like I wasted my money on this now. I didn't get my other 6 months out of it or whatever. But
Sure.
Let's go to the garage gym because this is going to be where we can really go deep and share. You can go deeper than me sharing experiences because garage gyms, I'm about 1 year or so into owning a garage gym. And as a
Sure.
matter of fact, I have two of them. So I've run into certain negatives with my setup as well. But
Sure.
talk about like you went from, something was considered to be a garage, but you actually finished it off into an extra room. But
Mhm.
it's still a garage IRS, so it's not taxable. Uh,
I don't
but
live
now
there anymore, so it doesn't matter.
now you've been in this garage gym area in your home gym for how long? Or in your home, I'm sorry.
Well, in my new home, I have 6 months. So we like are just over 6 months. We moved in July 14th. So the garage gym part of it was something that I knew that I needed to do. I knew I needed to get it set up. So I've only been in the technical garage gym for whatever that is, 6 months or so, just over 6 months.
Hmm. And what do you
Yeah.
feel like moving from that last space, which was similar to this one, which is a true garage gym? What did you have to do?
Well, okay. So for me, like the big difference was I went from a single car garage that was turned into a half living space, half gym, and I have a full single car garage now that is all gym. And I was able to make it exclusively that. So the big thing was is just I had more space. I've got more space to do stuff. I've got more space to move. I've got more space for more equipment. I've got more space for things like the stuff I had at home at the other house. Um, was all so compacted. It was all right on top of each other. And I had to be very strategic about how I moved things so that I could do workouts. And again, being a big guy, it was hard to have the space. But now in the garage gym, I keep my equipment very minimal as far as more along the lines of type of a CrossFit approach from an equipment perspective. I don't have a ton of equipment. And so it's created so much freedom in the space to be able to move and do different things, do different movements, try different things and stuff like that. So it's yeah, it's been a huge change. And I'm super pumped that I have and grateful, super grateful that I have a garage gym like that.
Do you know offhand the measurements of your space and what you have?
Yeah, it's 22 foot ish, give or take, maybe 22, 23 foot by um just under 10 foot wide.
Ceiling?
Ceiling is just under 10-foot ceilings. So they're like 9.5 foot ceilings.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah.
And is it you said a one car garage, a full true one car garage? Is it split off from a two car to where you can still park on the other one, or is it a one car garage and that's it?
Yeah, so the new house that we got had a 3-car garage, and so it was a 3-car double door 2-car garage, and then a third car that was had its own garage door to it. And so when we bought the house and moved in, I just put up a wall, and so now the 2-car garage is truly a 2-car garage, and then there's a wall that separates off the third car garage. It's still a garage, but it's closed off, so it's sectioned off from the rest of the place. I can keep it warm in the wintertime, and I put a ceiling in it so it's climate controlled, so it's insulated, and it's got a door so I can shut people out and all that kind of stuff.
Now, were you tempted? I know you live in the Midwest, so this is probably a no go for your wife, but were you looking at the three car? Because we looked at a house here that had a true three car that was huge, had a high ceiling. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah, my wife was like, fine, well, all three garages or all three parts. Was there any negotiation where you were like, hey, I'll park outside and I'll take two for you could park your car in the one and just try to finagle that?
I did. We have definitely talked about the whole thing being a living space because turning the 2-car garage into a living space and finishing the floor because eventually we will. I don't know if it'll become a gym, but it will become a space that we can use more than just being a place to park the car. I park outside already anyways, consistently, because I don't care about being in parking the car inside, whatever it is, it's no big deal. But one of her rules or like her not rules, but conditions for the house that we were going to buy was I need to be able to park in the garage. And I said, okay. So as long as we got a two, if we would have got just a 2-car garage, I would have split it and had half of it be a gym and the other half she could park in. But luckily we found a home that had a 3-car garage, and I was able to just take the whole third car. And so one thing I did talk to her about it recently was getting some turf and putting some turf down in the gym, because you can drive on that, and so it would get really messy in the wintertime if you're driving in and out, but we both work from home. So um we don't have to drive a lot of places. So there wouldn't be a ton of wear and tear, but I don't know. We'll see if that happens in the future or not.
We actually saw Sam's Club had like real turf, like
Super
65
cheap.
feet. Yeah, it's not bad at all. There is a placement to it. And obviously I've seen ones where they have the NFL hash marks and everything. I'm like, oh, that's the one I want. but but it's also, sometimes maintenance wise on the turf, you have to vacuum it in certain ways, and some vacuums don't like it. Has to be a very tight turf. If it has a
Sure.
little bit of the fake blades up there, it can
Yeah.
it can really destroy your vacuum cleaner too. So there's like
Sure.
when you're talking about garages, because you're bringing in all these elements and everything, uh,
Yeah.
we the both the garages, because we had garage in 1.0, super happy with it. It's a super deep one car, but it's
Hmm.
detached. So we walk from the apartment, and it's a little ways off, but not bad. But on
Right.
morning like this morning, it's raining. It's walking
Ah.
back and forth. But garage gym 1.0, when we first got it, it was like, I mean, it's a big garage, 27 by 11.4 with
Mm.
12-foot ceiling. The
Wow.
12-foot ceiling,
Awesome.
we have 12-foot ceilings in an apartment, which I've never seen in my life.
Wow.
Like, we're holding on to this residence for as long as we can until we find something. But once you get a higher ceiling, man, in any living situation or gym, you
Yeah.
can't go back. It's hard, man. What if you had to go back to your old ceiling? What would you do? You'd be like, oh man, this sucks. You
Yeah.
feel like
Be
it's like
awful.
right here on top of you.
Hmm.
So when we got that, and also, that's the whole thing too. Like, I didn't want, when we moved here, my wife initially, I think I had talked to you about this. This was going to be the connected fitness gym,
Mm.
the Peloton type stuff, Nordic Track Boulder, Tempo Studio. All the smart equipment was going to be in here because we have internet. We're able to get on the internet. We have, high speed and all that stuff. So we can use the software functionality of all those pieces. The garage gym has no internet connection. So it's more of the offline old school equipment. I'm actually considering getting like one of those T-Mobile gateways to live
Mm.
stream and do things where you just plug it in and I can move it from garage to garage. But it was very much going to be both segments of the fitness like category. That quickly, my wife was like, you should really turn this in to a podcast studio and try to make it look like an office, and we can do work together. And it was a great point. We wanted to,
Hmm.
the reason why is because she reminded me, she goes, you sweat so much, even if it's connected fitness, you're going to be sweating during cardio, sweating during lifting. And, she was like, she didn't say it. I stopped her and go, I know what you're saying. You sacrificed an entire apartment for me in Georgia, and we have a space for a gym, plenty of space. Like I think it's 464 square feet in that first garage. I was like, all the equipment will go there. We're going to keep this place clean. It's going to be a clean living area, and we'll dedicate our workouts to going over there, which made it much easier because we can. My promise was to keep our house clean when I wouldn't destroy it like the last place. So the garage had obviously I had to measure it. I had to see what all one train, even though they can all pretty much fit in there, I still had to make sure that with the one I ended up going with, the G15, on this garage, there's like, I don't know if you ever saw most garages. It's weird because they're not level, by the way, because the water
Hmm.
needs to kind of like, there's a slight like decline going out of it so water
Right.
doesn't get trapped. But there was like maybe a half-inch lip. I don't know how far out, maybe 96 or 100 inches, something like that. So if I got like a full cage, it would be off the ledge and off the lip of that. So I was still a
Mm.
little bit limited, with not really that limited, just with depth, not width or height. So I could pick anything I want. But that's something for people to realize too, that in a garage or even in a home gym space, you gotta pull out a level and see where you're at.
Mhm.
Because if
Yeah.
it's not level and there's certain things that are happening and you have a power rack and it's always wobbling when you do pull-ups or anything like that, it's a consideration. So
Sure.
we added all the equipment, and I, just like any other gym like yours or anybody else's, it filled up. It filled up,
Mm,
started to look like crap after a while.
okay.
So my wife was like, we can't fit any more equipment in here without it looking like crap. And you need to film, and it just doesn't look clean. And I said, well, they have another garage on the other end here, short walk. Like there's four garages, two stairs, then two more. So we're over here on the end, and the other end has it there. And I said, how would you feel about me getting another garage? And she was like, well, do you think you need it? I was like, well, I want to review more products. I want to expand the affiliate business, and I'm grateful for what we have, but I don't know how I'm going to do that
Sure.
without taking the second bedroom or another garage. I don't want to spend the extra money, but maybe other than, because the other option was there were small commercial spaces open, small offices, things that you could
Mm,
put a gym in. But dude, the base, even the cheapest ones were 800 bucks a month just for the
yeah,
rent, then
sure.
the electric, then the insurance, then I mean I have to do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Here, the garage gym, both of them is an extension of our renter's insurance. I got extra coverage on the equipment. So it's
Mm,
very minimum. And the garage gyms right now, they used to be 117, now it's 125 a month. And we don't pay for electricity. Electricity is included in there. So I said to my wife, I go, I think, like you said about the show when we before we got on the air, we were talking a little bit about numbers and how we're not really going to look at them, but let's do it for a year. Let's see where we're at, and then let's start worrying about the numbers a little bit.
right.
Not that we're going to stop, just let's put a year in. So I said to her, it's funny you brought that up because we think with like minds sort of like, I go, let me get the second garage. She even said, you need to get the second garage. I think you need to do it at least for a little bit. I go, let's do it. Let's give it a year. Let's expand the affiliate business with different brands that we're working with. And let's put it in that second garage, and let's see at the end of the year if it's a good investment. What's it say after 12 months? Like what? 12, 1,400 bucks,
Mm,
invested into the business is not a
sure.
lot to ask. Um, so that garage gym 2.0 is the cardio, like sauna. If we get a cold plunge, we're getting a hot yoga tent. I sent that to you, right? That Pod
Yeah.
52 thing that's
Looks
coming.
awesome.
So it's going to be, and by the way, we got an elliptical, so you can now get mad. One of the, it's actually it's a teeter rower elliptical. It's seated. It's very interesting. So they sent that. It's
Interesting.
called a Power 10, and she
Okay.
wants that for cardio. So we put that in there. We got the air bike, which I sent you, and a
Hmm.
recumbent bike, and we got the fight camp bag. So we are able to now create more content, do things, and we have two open areas there. $250 a month isn't cheap for both of those, but for a full-time business, we're not even touching. I could rent out the other two garages, and I'm still not touching the rent I would pay on a dedicated space. Not
Sure.
to mention moving everything, not to mention I'll have to get an alarm because people are breaking in the stuff now. And this is a
Sure.
little bit better than that. But do you want to hear? Give me first before I go. I've talked too long. Um, Tell me some of the cons. Like you were talking about why you got the garage gym, why you moved, why you needed that dedicated space, the positives, the better dimensions that this one has over the last one that you kind of jury rigged into a separate garage space.
Hmm.
But what are the cons now that you're seeing with being there 6 months now? What can you look and say? Yeah, I'm not quite sure how, like, we got to figure out something different here.
Um, I mean, it's tough for me to think of cons because I love the gym so much. Like it's I have taken some time to really make it look nice and be aesthetically like feel good when I walk in it. So it's hard for me to come up with a con. The only I guess this is one con that I have. My kids want to be in there all the time.
Playground, man.
I mean, it's great. It's great. But when I'm trying to work out, like I get up in the at 4:40, 4:30, 4:45 every day and get in the gym before they get out of bed. But when they wake up, they'll come in there, So that is one technical con is that sometimes my workouts get interrupted, which I'll take it. I'm totally grateful for it. I make a joke about it, but I'm super grateful for it. And on the flip side of that, like I love that I have the garage gym because my kids want to come in there all the time. You know, like they want to be in there. They want to be in there doing fitness with dad. They want to be in there doing that kind of stuff. So that part of it is great. But when I'm trying to get my workout done, leave me alone.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a con. And then I have, I think because the garage space that I'm in, like what you're experiencing, you're going to run out of room if you start adding more stuff. And I, you know, like I added, I have a rower, I have a air bike, I have a Muay Thai bag, and there's, when they're put away, there's plenty of room, plenty of space. But if I pull them out and I try to do lots of things, one con is if, you know, like I want to work out with my wife, there's not as much space for us to do a workout together. If I ever have a friend come over or anything like that, it would be harder to work out together because there's just not as much space that you can make it work. And it's hard for me to think of other cons because I just love it so dang much. I mean, really, like it's it is a con. I guess one big con that we should talk about real quick, or at least bring up, is that it's too convenient and it's too easy to say, no, I'll get it later. You know, that's a definite con because it's at home and you're just like, my couch is really comfortable over there. I want to go sit on the couch as opposed to going in the gym. So I fall into that trap sometimes. Sometimes, not very often, but sometimes I do, you know, and so that would be a con. But for the most part, I personally, I have a hard time finding a con in having a garage gym, really.
You know what the thing is too, that you obviously one of the founders of X Endurance and also huge movie stars. People didn't remember.
Shut it.
So no, that's right. You're the draw.
Coming from the draw, that means a lot.
Got me on that one, I guess. Well, this is the thing too. Like obviously your business is mostly X Endurance. It's supplements, you know, it's working with that. The thing I struggle with on the garage gym, and this is once again first world problems. I struggle with the fact that my wife and I have embraced minimalism. We struggle with it all the time. We really have always since we moved. When we moved, we realized, and I'm sure you did too, like look at all the stuff we have. We're never going to let it get this way again. And for the most part, we've been good about it. We decorate obviously this, you know, and make it look presentable, but there's very little stuff in here. So when stuff does get cluttered, we take care of it very quickly. Having a garage, you know, a fitness equipment business or an affiliate business that the entire income relies on content to create and new products. You know, I do updated reviews, but still after a while, you got to get fresh product in there. And of course, I pay it forward. I donate the equipment to other people that might need it. There's a guy that actually runs a garage gym and also wants to rent out a space to help underprivileged kids learn fitness, and kids in high school
Cool.
how to work out. I'm going to give that dude my equipment all day long.
Sure.
It's going towards a good cause. But there needs to be equipment in there. And sometimes I do look at it, and obviously 2 garage gyms, I'm looking at it, and the frugal, practical part of me, the cheap part of me looks at it and said, the minimalism part of me goes, this is overkill. This is overkill.
Sure.
But I say that in a lot of the videos too. This is if I didn't, like I just said earlier, if I didn't have to run a fitness business, I'd probably just stick with the Tempo Studio or again, you know,
Sure.
just a regular rack or just have the all-in-one trainer, nothing else, because I can do cables, Smith machine, all that stuff within one space. But that I struggle with. The fact that there is more maintenance involved, there's more things to deal with, but there's also more blessings to pass along to like that guy and other people to help them on their fitness journey. So it was at one point in Georgia, it was a hoarding situation.
Sure.
It really was like, what do you need 3-4 barbells for? What do you need this? What do you need that? You can make up any excuse, but really, I don't even train that much with barbell unless it's on a Smith machine. I don't even really need one barbell at this point. So, but that's one thing. I think the other thing, and this is where you get into a little bit to like the garage gym when it's detached from your home,
Mm,
there's no climate control.
mm,
So the heat doesn't bother me, but when it's super cold in there, even with the tower heater that I put in there, it takes a little bit. You got to be bundled up. It's chilly. Siri found it. See if Siri
yeah.
found it. But it's definitely during colder weather, which yes, I have Florida blood, it's thinner. So when it's 60 degrees, it's cold. So I'm from
It's
Philly. I know what it's like to live.
26 right now.
I'm from Philly, lived in Connecticut for many years. I know what snow
Sure.
is. So don't,
Yeah, I get it.
don't get on me about that. But the climate control thing is a big deal because I think it
Yeah,
extends out a lot more too, because when there's no climate control, there's therefore, unless you have the door open, which if it's cold, you're not doing that,
sure.
the airflow is limited. So you sort of encounter that gym stench anyway. If you don't
Mhm.
air it out once a week, if you're not I put Odoban on the floor and I mop and do all that stuff. Um, I don't use the rubber tiles in these gyms now because they tend to absorb a lot of
Mm,
a lot of the sweat. So I'm just
sure.
sticking with the concrete floor, doing whatever. Even the turf I tried, it just wasn't conducive. I had a little piece of turf just to test it out, and it didn't look good aesthetically for me. So I was just like, I'm just going
Yeah.
like, total old school. The other thing with maintenance for me, and you can tell me too, because you have a garage door. I don't know how the hell these leaves get into the garage. Like the door's closed. Where the fuck did they come from? Where all these leaves come from? The tree's like 200 feet. That
Yeah.
where did this leaf come from?
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. No, I actually don't. I put like a weather strip under the door to keep out rain and stuff like that. And that seemed to work because when we first moved in, it got a real heavy rain and the garage was kind of wet because it all came in under the door. So I got this weather stripping. I can send it to you and tell you what it is, but it I put it down and it has kept the water out. But then I actually put up another fake wall so that I can insulate a little bit, so that I have a fake wall that covers the garage door because I'm not, like I said, I don't like to work out with people. I'm certainly not going to open up my garage door and work out on display for the whole block to see, So it was in the wintertime a couple weeks ago, it was negative 10 degrees out. And if I didn't have that wall, there's no way I'm going in that gym working out because it would have been negative 10 in the gym
I
too,
heard that
And so,
whistle like with the
yeah,
man. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was cold. And even on those days with the fake wall there, um, I made a mistake. I put up a fake wall but I didn't put any insulation. I just left an air gap so that dead air would kind of help keep it cool or keep it temperature controlled. And I wish I would have put insulation in there because those really cold days, it was cold in that gym and my space heater that I have in there couldn't keep up. And so whatever, I still worked out, but it was cold. So I don't have that issue of leaves coming in and causing problems. I do in my main garage for some reason. I don't understand. You're right. Where do they come from? I have no idea, but they do.
You either strip the other two, you either strip all the doors.
No, because I had to patch some cement there, so I just haven't got to it yet. And like by the time I patched the cement, it was already cold, so I didn't do the weather stripping on it. And so I'm going to do it in the spring when it's warm and I can make sure that it sits right and don't have any issues with it and stuff. But right now it's not weather stripped yet because I had to patch the cement.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
nitpicking on this one, but the thing that and this is from you're a tech nerd like I am. I got these LED shop lights, which really brighten the entire space
Mm,
of the garage. And they were like $60 on Amazon. I'll send it to you. It's from a company, Barina. And they said it's like 8 of them. They go together like Legos, and
oh,
you can put them on the wall, put them on the ceiling. They're wired, they're not wireless. So they're not like tube lights where you can, or like those light wands, they're RGB. Um, but for filming to get the white balance down and
mm,
then the flicker on, say, if you watch any of my videos, there is flicker sometimes depending upon where I have the camera. So
sure.
that's a little bit, but normally with garages too, you're going to have to use independent lighting because the fluorescents that are above you or the garage door light is not going to cut it in most
Yeah.
garages. So I would recommend those. they're like LED, like T7 lights or something, but they're shop lights. So they're super bright.
Yeah.
They work, they brighten the entire space. But from a filming perspective, they can be, a little, just with my own OCD, they don't look great. I mean,
Sure.
but I've also considered using the space on both and getting those you ever see the mounts where you can mount lights on against the wall and you drill, it's like a big bracket
Yeah.
and kind of come. I thought about getting like a couple of those for each garage. So when I do it, it's all plugged in. I have an impact pole across where I run lighting as well. Impact,
Sure.
you'd love that actually. Impact, they make something called a varipole system. And I thought about
Hmm.
putting it in here. You ever see them?
Yeah.
So they just use like a tension rod, like a shower
Yep.
rod, and you can put lights, boom lights, anything on there and just have everything off the floor. So
Yeah.
that's what I've considered too, is that way. Because, last thing I want to do after, just like you said, it starts to fill up. Now I got this huge, like the turtle stand, light stand, and I got two of them, and it's just
Yeah.
not a big deal. But that's for content creators, not so much for garage gym people. But
Sure.
if anybody out there has any gym space, even a home gym space, and you want it really brightly lit like a big gym, those Amazon lights, those LED shop lights are definitely for $60. I think a really good investment.
Yeah, I did something very similar with mine where I went to the local not local hardware, but yeah, hardware. Menards. It's a Midwest
I
store.
know.
It's like a Lowe's or Home Depot, but it's Menards. That's where I shop. I'm partial to it. But they have shop lights that you can get that are just LED shop lights. They're 45 bucks and they're like 4 foot long. And I got 3 of those for the garage and it is super bright in there like it would be in a regular gym. And so that's one thing to consider when you're looking at it home gym is making sure that it's lit very well so you feel good when you go in there too. If you're going for an aesthetic whatever, but like you want to go in a place and feel like you can be in there and be lit well and have a good workout and stuff like that. So that's good. I did think of one other con to a home gym and garage gym, and that's the upfront cost, right? Like over time, it pays for itself because if you factor in a gym, like I've had this conversation with my wife 100 times. She used to go to Orange Theory. Orange Theory is like $170 a month for the membership, which great, worked great for my wife. She loved it. It was a great place to go. Like you get personalized coaching. You got a coach there. So you get what you pay for, in those types of settings. And so it's fine. But if you think about that, $170 a month times $12 for the year or 12 months for the year, that's a lot of money that you're spending on a gym, on a gym membership. How much of that could you take and buy home gym equipment that maybe the first year you spend the same amount, but then in year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, you're not spending anything. So in the long run, it's a huge cost savings, but there is definitely an upfront cost that you have to factor in when creating your own home gym or creating your own garage gym. You just got to make sure, but really do the math for yourself to figure it out. So that can be a huge con for people and something that could keep you just going to the $15 a month gym or the $30 a month gym because you can afford it at the time. So that was just a thought I had.
Well, I think the cost, yeah, it scares a lot of people off. But I also think people still have in the back of their minds that these gyms could get shut down at any time.
Sure.
And there's a lot of
Yep.
people that said, I'm never going to let that happen again. So the motivation for, it's an affordable gym, but if it's not available, I'm never going to. And the prices are going up on all of them. So it's
Sure.
becoming a point of the $15 a month one is now 25 or 30. And you're like, okay, it's doubled. So basically they're never going to lower the prices again. It's always going to go up. Maybe I
Right.
should just get this piece of equipment or a couple things and bite the bullet. Now I know I can use it because what you factor in with that calculator that I talked about earlier is the time driving back and forth
Mhm.
and the gas mileage and the wear and tear, and then obviously the price of gas. You know, you could be done your workout in your home or garage gym, uh, almost maybe by the time you get to your gym.
Sure.
You'd be at least
It's true.
halfway done it, and then you got to come back and shower at the gym. You got to bring all your stuff. You got to do all these. If you're stopping there, and then you forget something at the gym on your way to work, you got to go back home anyway and get it.
Mhm.
There's a whole bunch of stuff. We don't have that problem. We're introverts that stay in our
Sure.
homes.
So okay, so with that said, before we call it quits on this episode, um, what would you recommend people getting started? Like what piece of equipment would you have them start with? What do you think would be a good place for somebody brand new to the home gym space, the garage space? What would you have them start with?
Well, that's a tough one. If they've never,
If they don't have anything. So let me preface the
but
question a
also
little better.
knowledge, what's their skill level or their fitness?
Uh beginner. I mean, they've worked out before. They just decide, hey, I want to take my fitness into my own hands. Where should I start? And they've got maybe 500 to $1,000 tops to figure out a home gym. Where would you have them start?
Hmm. Well, that's tough. It all depends on obviously what, like my back injury and everything. I can't do barbell work and things like that, especially squats. That's a tough question, man. I would say this: if you're a total beginner, I'm trying to see if they wanted to, you could buy push-up stands and a doorway pull-up bar, and then subscribe to P90X for like 3 months to get
Mm,
yourself into shape to know that you're going to stick with it. So
sure.
buy yourself a minimal amount of equipment. And usually I do tell people that if you look at P90X, the original one, the workouts are long, but you get the workouts, you get the diet, you get a schedule. There's also the lean and the mass one. They have all different ways that you can choose according to your fitness goals. And you're literally using a doorway pull-up bar, or if you want to put a pull-up bar in your ceiling or your wall, push-up stands, and then if you don't even want to get the dumbbells, you have resistance bands.
Yeah.
You're ready to go. I think the number one thing people should know is, first of all, don't make your eyes be bigger than your stomach and
Yep.
spend more than you need to. Part of the fun of it is constantly trying to reconfigure it and figuring out it as you go along and adding stuff. But it can get out of hand real quick, and then you'll find yourself frustrated. You spent all that money, or you filled it up, you didn't measure the space, a whole bunch of things. So, but the number one thing I would say is, if you're beginning, you're just starting out, you're deciding you're going to work out in your home or garage, you have to stick with it. And I would say just buy the minimal amount of equipment, buy or subscribe to a follow along program like P90X, or even if you want to subscribe to like iFit or something like that with a
Yeah.
schedule. And 3 months later, if you're like, this just isn't enough for me, I want more, go ahead, buy
Yeah.
your first power rack for like
There
500
you go.
bucks.
Yeah.
Make sure it has a lifetime structural warranty. Make sure that you do a lot of pre-sales questions to the company to test the response time to customers.
Yeah.
That's what I would say, because if you don't communicate with the company and you buy their product and there's a problem, and then you find out the company doesn't communicate with anybody and they're
Mm.
just kind of non-existent, you're going to feel ripped off and you're going to feel like you made a bad purchase. I know that
Yeah.
was a very long answer, but I
No,
do
it's good.
I do think the motivation factor and the consistency factor have to be the most important one before you spend anything above the minimum amount of money.
Yep, that's great. That's a great point. And I would echo that exact thought, is that if you are new to this space and new to the home gym space, uh you don't technically you don't have to buy any equipment. If you don't want to, you can do something like a P90X, or Apple Fitness, or any of those programs. They have body weight only workouts that you can do at home and just get in that flow, and then slowly but surely add a piece here, add a piece here, look for used equipment, things like that. You can then create that's primarily what I've done. Haven't bought a new piece of equipment. Well, let me rephrase that. Most of the equipment that I have is used. I've bought new pieces of equipment over the last couple of years, but prior to that, I started off with all used stuff, making do with the cheapest thing that I could. Started with some resistance bands, things like that. But getting in the habit, like you were saying, is getting consistent with it and trying it first, and making sure that you like working out at home before you invest all that money is a good place to start.
what would you recommend somebody in that $500 to $1,000 range? What would you recommend?
Man, I really love the rower that I have. If you were going to buy one piece of equipment and you wanted a place to get started, I think a rower is a great piece of cardio equipment for people because, a treadmill it's running and it's fine and everybody's can run, but it's hard on your body, hard on your joints when you're running on a treadmill like that. I think elliptical, I'm just not a fan of them. I don't like them. But I think the rower is a great piece of equipment. If you can find a rower for relatively inexpensive or get a good quality rower for a little bit more, if you were to buy one piece of equipment for your home gym and you wanted something that was a strength, or a little bit of strength, but mostly cardio, that a rower is a great place to start. Or option two would be a set of like adjustable dumbbells. I have a set of those dumbbells that you just turn the little dial on them and then they go up in weight or down in weight. I think one of those would be good if you were to try to minimize the amount of equipment that you were going to have. A good piece of cardio equipment, rower, and some dumbbells. If you were going to spend a little money, I think there's plenty more you can do for very little money. But if you had to spend that amount, I would go with one of those two things.
There is a piece of equipment that I reviewed called the Lit Method Strength Machine. It's a rower, it's a Pilates reformer, and it has hooks with bands for strength training. So if you were going to spend a little bit more money, like you said, it has a lifetime structural warranty. It has an app with follow along workouts, so you're being trained too if you're brand new. And it has all different modalities, whether it's on the rower, using as a rower, Pilates reformer, or the bands that come with it, and it comes with a bar and handles. So you can either do, bilateral stuff or unilateral with the handles. And it was an excellent piece of equipment along with the app that basically has that Peloton type of studio feel to what they're doing. So you're spending a little bit more. You're probably spending between 1,500 and 2,000, but you're getting the aspects of all that stuff we just talked about wrapped up in the one. So
yeah,
I would definitely recommend that. And I have tested their customer service out and the support, and they've been great with everything.
Yeah.
So
If people are interested in learning more about home gym equipment and somebody that might do reviews on them, where can they go?
I have no idea. I don't know. I swore we weren't going to. I swore I wasn't going to pitch anything on the show, but
you
no.
might see it on this channel. You might see a home gym review or video review on this channel. So just check it out.
our whole our whole thing with, if you listen to episode 1, mission statement, our whole thing was that we were going to bite the bullet for everybody to give the information so they don't have to get bit with losing money on a piece of equipment or supplements that they're wasting their money on. And that's really what we're looking at. That drives me every day. Okay, well, if this was the last $500 somebody had, is this worth it? And I think about that every single video. I don't have the whole thing. When I look at the G15 or I look at another piece of equipment, holy shit, this thing is like $5,000. That's a lot of money. But then I look at it like, yeah, I would get it because I can have it for the rest of my life, and it's a great piece of equipment, and there's warranty that backs that up if there ever is a problem. So that's what I look for. And I'm sure on your supplement side, you can give a lot more information for people. I mean, I think supplements are, I would have to say, what's the stat? Like people waste the most amount of money buying supplements than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll talk about that in a future episode, what to look for, what not to look for.
Mike's gonna name names in that one.
No, I won't. I'll be very politically correct and talk about all the things you should look for and shouldn't look for and things like that. So,
but you'll probably do what you just did a minute ago with the review guy that we were talking. Like, does this guy eat a lot of liver? Does this supplement change you in 21 days? That kind of thing. So
yeah, maybe.
You know what the thing is? We talked about the pros and cons of both these gyms. But the fact that you have one and the fact you have access to one, no matter where it is, no matter what you call it, the fact that you can have your own gym of any sort. And it could be just a pair of dumbbells. That could be a yoga mat on the floor. It could be anything. but the fact that you have access to do something and the motivation to start doing it, that's great. Doesn't matter if
Yeah.
12-foot ceiling, 6-foot ceiling, whatever.
Yeah.
If you get up and you want to put the work in, the tools are secondary to what you use them for. And at least that's what I think.
Amen to that, dude. Yeah, like it's the motivation to go, and you can get a great workout in with just your body weight. You really can. You don't need any of this equipment. You don't need a home gym. You don't need a garage gym. You don't need any of it. You can just move your body and get going and take control of your health. Start there, and then you can progress if you want to do more as you. But if you don't ever want to progress and you just want to stick with home workouts that are just body weight only workouts, there's a lot that you can do to live healthier every single day with just body weight workouts. So everything we said, yes, those are the pros and cons, and it's great. And final thought on all of it is you don't need any of it if you don't want it. It's all great to have and great tools that are going to help you really take control of your health. But you can start with nothing and progress and really have a lot of success.
Yeah, but people are going to curse us out because body weight workouts are the hardest ones to do out of
Oh,
all.
they are.
You might think, oh yeah, it's great. I don't need it. Like, oh my God, I got to get some dumbbells and a rower because this sucks. This
Right.
is hard. That's how, I mean, if you look at prisoners, you look at people in military, even,
Yeah.
when I was doing a lot of body weight stuff and with injuries, body weight, yoga, bands, stuff like that. That was the central hub of my entire existence because I couldn't lift a weight with my joints and injuries. So
Sure.
that would be the thing. That's an excellent point. I think if you're going to start out, even strip down all the equipment and just use your body weight, nothing else. It's a great point.
Yep. It's good.
All right, I did 3 intros. Now I'm going to let you take us out for episode number 3. We talked off air, and Mike's like, well, I'm comfortable with you because he tried to blow smoke up my ass with the whole the draw and yes sir, no sir stuff. But we're going to get him to do the intro soon. I'll let you take us out. I'm going to
Yeah, no, absolutely, man.
There we go.
You are 100% the draw, Stevie Richards on the Stevie Richards Fitness channel. You are the draw, sir. Well, hey, everybody, thanks for
that's the pitch on the way out. No,
that's not the pitch. We don't want to kill the show before we get rolling. Just kidding. No, hey, thanks everybody. This has been a great conversation about home gyms and garage gyms. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the podcast. It's available everywhere on all podcast platforms. Check out the video on the YouTube channel and Stevie Richard Fitness YouTube channel. We'll be back with more episodes just like this, with more topics, more things to come. I don't think we quite decided on what the next topic will be, but I promise you it will be a fun conversation about how you can live healthier every single day. Stevie, Big Stevie Cool, thank you, man. It was fun talking today. And thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.